there's nothing wrong with your phone or your iPad, your tablet. It's just dark where I am. A father in Cleveland is being arrested for child endangerment because, according to the police, he told his 16-year-old son to fight a bully that had been picking on him. And after the fight, he brought the boy to the hospital, and the boy ended up having bleeding in his brain. The boy is going to be fine, but they want to file charges against the father, and I think there's a warrant out for his arrest for child endangerment. Now, this has bearing for martial arts, of course, not just because, hey, they were fighting, but normally I don't believe stories where the family jumps in and says, my brother didn't do that, my sister didn't do that. You know, I always feel like the family is just going to defend the wrongdoer no matter what. But in this case, I actually believe the family member they interviewed. They interviewed the sister of the father, aunt of the person who was being bullied. And she said that her brother did not encourage the boys to fight, that he was driving, and the son saw the bully, so the son jumps out the car, starts fighting the bully, and dad lets them fight. Now, Cleveland police, if you're watching this, you should know that most men are not going to be able to break up a fight between two 16-year-old boys by themselves. Not unless these men are really, really strong and or they have some training. Heck, I would have a hard time, as big as I am and with the training I have, especially at my age, breaking up a fight between two 16-year-olds without having to hurt one of them or put a couple of moves on them. If dad has no training, dad should not be expected to break up a fight between two 16-year-olds. In fact, if dad is old enough to be a dad and it's two 16-year-olds, dad should not be expected to break up that fight legally. And as far as child endangerment, honestly, I don't even think it should be child endangerment, even if he told him to fight the bully. Because there was a time, not too long ago, when you could tell two boys go ahead and fight it out like men, and then it's over, and then that's it. But yet and still, even though I understand the whole practice of mano y mano, let's go fight each other. They're boys. They're learning to be men. Let them sell it with their hands. It still speaks to the dangers of fighting. And I know some people are going to think it's strange that a martial arts person is telling people that they shouldn't be fighting. But you shouldn't be fighting. You shouldn't be fighting in the street. This is why we tell you not to go out and get in street fights, because you can end up with bleeding in your brain, even if you win. This is why we don't allow full contact to the head 9 times out of 10, because you could end up with brain damage or bleeding to the brain. With all the stuff coming out about CTE, we still haven't learned that hits to the head are a bad idea. So some of you boys who want to go out there, you teenagers, because there are a few teenagers that watch this channel. You teenagers who watch this channel who want to go out and do fight clubs, or you want to get into your feelings, you people in your teens and 20s, some of you even older than that, you want to go and get into fights, you can end up messing up your brain. Bleeding in the brain. I have never heard of people bleeding in their brain before. But I'm sure it can happen, because when you're hitting somebody in the head, you're shifting their brain around. So, if anybody should be arrested or have charges filed against them, you should be looking at the two boys for fighting. But you're not going to do that. If anybody should have been arrested before this incident, it should be the bully that was picking on that boy. Now, I know, now the aunt has said that the father had been going to the school for years, she said about a year and a half, to try to get them to stop the bully from picking on the boy, picking on her nephew. And they did nothing. And I can believe that. I can totally believe that. Because I know when I was picked on, and we talking like what, 30 years ago? More than 30 years ago. There wasn't really much the school could do. Or would do, honestly. And then, and plus, even when the schools would try to do something, it was always a case of he said. All the bad kids have to do is lie, and unless they got them on camera, what do they have? They have nothing. So all the bad kids will lie. And then if you fight at school to defend yourself, what's going to happen? They're going to suspend both people, regardless of who started it. 9 times out of 10, both students get suspended. So if things are escalating to the point where one boy gets frustrated and then he's going to jump out the car when he sees his bully and just start wailing on the bully, to me, that means that bully has been committing a crime against that boy. And that bully should have been accused of assault a long time ago. I'm tired of this stuff. I mean, it's like we want to have it both ways. We want to say their kids, and then when they do something completely in the ultimate realm of ridiculousness, oh, they're adults. They're adults now. They're adults. If one kid beats on another kid bad enough, it's not bullying anymore. It's assault. Somebody needs to be going to jail. So now, I know a lot of people aren't going to like me saying this. Now, if that boy at that time was being picked on, if he went out and charged that bully, then maybe he should be charged with assault. Even though he had been a victim of bullying, just in that instance, he turns around and then he assaults the bully. So basically, like I've said in other videos, we acting like some stuff is, it's just normal rites of passage and kids will be kids and we don't want to ruin their lives with things they do. Like the people trying to excuse the boy who was lynched. They're trying to excuse the people that lynched that kid in Cincinnati. Some of this stuff is crimes. It's not bullying. It's not kids being kids. It's actually a crime. If somebody ends up in the hospital, I suspect it's a crime. It's gone beyond bullying. So, that's my 2 cents on it. I don't think there should be a warrant issued for dad's arrest unless you can prove that dad literally dragged his son out there, pointed at the bully and said, son, you attack him or you are not a man in my eyes. If dad didn't do anything like that, it's not daddy's fault. Stop trying to blame the parents for everything that the kids do. Here's a little secret. Most of us know right from wrong by the time we get in high school. So if we're doing wrong at that point, it's because we want to do wrong. Some people could have Mahatma Gandhi for their father and they still gonna act up. Some girls could have the Virgin Mary for their mother and they still will act up. Jesus Christ himself could be the father of some of these people and they would still act like the devil because we have free will. Heck, wasn't the devil himself in the presence of God and he still became Satan? So what does that tell you? So I'm saying you shouldn't arrest the dad. I'm saying the boys need to take their lumps and face whatever charges they may face. Now, if you want to be breaking up kids fighting, you need to get training. So you should come to a martial arts class like mine. And if you do want to encourage your children to fight back against their bullies, would you please put them in a martial arts class so that they don't end up being beaten to the point where even if they win, they end up with bleeding inside their brain. Peace.